More than ever, we're producing regular updates here on Fabulous 103, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day. To keep in touch and to get notifications quickly, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's easy and it'll keep you up to date with news, in many cases before it's available elsewhere. The CCSA early this morning Friday announced the following total of new cases found around the nation. 14,575 new cases, along with 114 new deaths, either caused or exacerbated by COVID. The question constantly being raised now in Thailand is the number of COVID cases daily really relevant? Well, for 2 reasons it could by September have less importance. 1, real numbers as opposed to the actual numbers of undiagnosed cases means that the numbers are in all likelihood much higher. But 2, by then the percentage of the population vaccinated will, we're told, have risen significantly, as it's well documented that in Europe, America and indeed globally, people still catch the virus, even the Indian variant, despite having had their shots. But the effects are pretty much the same as a bad flu. It's also a fact that without the shots, the effects are not pleasant, can be dangerous, certainly incapacitating, and can contribute to death. But if Thailand manages to meet its goals for vaccines, then by the beginning of September it's possible that the country will be on a similar level to the West, in that COVID is here, people will catch it, and yet the number of serious cases and deaths will dwindle. If that's the case, as it has plenty of precedents elsewhere, then all that's needed is for us to adhere to the current regulations for just a few months, like it or not. And provided the state meets its promised goal, then by the end of August or the start of September we could see all forms of businesses open, but perhaps with many only open to customers who have proof of vaccinations. By then, businesses will have had their staff vaccinated, and there are numerous programs for that. And whilst we'll still live with COVID doing its vile rounds, it will become the modern-day version of an annoying flu. Nationally, it's not just our region that's seeing high COVID counts. In Samut Sakhon, 975 infections were reported on Thursday. Chonburi testing found over 100 workers at fruit canning plants fail tests. And in Kalasin, 131, of which 92 had arrived there from high-risk provinces. The virus is still showing up in most, if not all, provinces daily. Universities and schools have been wrapped on the knuckles by the Prime Minister, who's instructed them to reduce tuition fees by up to 50%. With all working online and many from home, the overheads are, of course, much lower. And with many families struggling, the Prime Minister targeted universities along with fee-paying private schools. A promise of subsidies to many educational establishments in need has been given, but step 1 is to reduce fees. And this applies to state-run universities along with private universities, where funds should be set up, we're told, to reduce costs for students. Official Ministry of Public Health documents sent to all provincial agencies specify that vaccination should be made available for non-Thais as well as Thais from now on without favour. Over 60s, those with proof of underlying health issues, and pregnant ladies are to be at the top of the list. We assume that this applies to any expat here on any form of visa or extension of stay. Chulaporn Royal Academy, CRA, is in the process of availing itself of a total of 9 million doses of China's Sinopharm, with the intention to match and exceed the number of AstraZeneca vaccines that we now know will not be available at any time soon. As the war of words continues between the manufacturer, Siam Bioscience, and the Health Ministry, the Royal Academy has already received 3 million vaccines, according to reports, and 4 million more are on order, with plans for them to be supplied to the disabled, those around Buddhist temples, the elderly, pregnant, and pretty much anyone who can't secure vaccines elsewhere. Toyota Motor Corporation has this week suspended vehicle production at several plants in Thailand due to a lack of component supply. The company produces 500,000 vehicles a year, but is seeing a shortage here, and in other countries too, of vital parts, including the computer ECU systems needed to manage cars and trucks. Monday and Wednesday next week are national holidays, although are not expected to see much in the way of celebrations. Monday is the start of the Buddhist Lent, and much of that will be televised to avoid people having to travel to temples, but we'll see all sales of alcohol banned on that day. And Wednesday is the birthday of His Majesty the King. Both days, however, will see government offices closing, including immigration. Meanwhile at home, and Maprachan's run and bike tracks have been closed down to comply with more regulations issued for the province. No fun for anyone seems to be the theme of the week, as Chonburi has added more areas and activities to the list of those not currently allowed. Any form of performance or games is banned, indoor or outdoor. Children's play areas are to close. All tourist attractions, government and private, close from today, along with zoos. Beaches along with reservoir areas are now out of bounds to all but local fishermen. Bridge areas in Sirachar adjacent to the island crossings are closed to all but boat passengers. And boat and ship crews arriving from outside the province anywhere along the shoreline will be allowed to drop cargo, but crews will remain on board at all times. This then may well affect container vessel crews entering Lam Chabang, but that hasn't been specifically stated. This morning at 7:30, the province announced today's latest figures. 669 in total, with 229 in the Banglamung area, which includes Pattaya, 109 in Chonburi, 169 in Silachar, 5 in Satahip, and 54 in Pantong. Chonburi authorities have arrested and put into quarantine a Thai visitor who was taking part in the Phuket Sandbox program, but fled the island instead of serving the 2-week mandatory stay there. Legal reports were filed after the island hotel reported her missing, and checks found that the track and trace app had been turned off. The 18-year-old female managed somehow to board a plane from Phuket, and investigations are ongoing there to establish how exactly that could have occurred without proper checks. And for those who enjoy Fabulous 103 or our news channel, yesterday saw our appeal for help kick off with the world's worst video advertising ever. But we do have a great stock of amazing t-shirts to raise funds towards our costs, as we have higher overheads than you might imagine. So we've borrowed to date to keep going, but we've now got zero in the bank. Rents, taxes, licensing and of course utilities to keep the transmitters running all add up, along with minimal wages. And even if you don't want to help, that's fine. But perhaps catch our video appeal on our website, alwayspattaya.com, where you can also find a listing of featured eateries offering excellent takeaway and home delivery, along with a reminder as to how to contact them. And with the Met Office promising highs today of 31, dropping down to 27, and the promise of more rain at some time. Local and national news today from Fabulous 103 FM and Fabulous Pattaya Media Group. And to get a notification every time we release another bulletin or program, like and subscribe to our channel, Fabulous Pattaya Media Group, by using the link below.